Hello, everyone. It's been a minute, and multiple more minutes. Hi again, it's Biodun, and this is another episode of AI for Humans. And this week we are going to be talking about generative artificial intelligence. And that's a very big word. So we're just going to take it step by step so it can be very clear for everyone to understand. Last week we talked about ChatGPT, the entire system. How does it know the answer? How does it generate the answer? What exactly does it do? How does it do probability just to be able to get the answers to the questions that you are asking? And it's really, really cool when you get the whole idea. And one thing we're able to establish is system is not smart. It's just amazingly good at guessing. Anyways, this week we are going to talk about generative AI. And when we talk about generative AI, it's going to be quite interesting to see. But first of all, what exactly did we always know AI to be? See, in the beginning, not when the world was created, in the beginning, artificial intelligence systems were simply analyzers, right? And when we mean analyzers, all they did was check this loan application. Does this person qualify or does this person not qualify? Check these students. Does it qualify to be admitted or does it not qualify to be admitted? It was just analyzing, it was approving, it was rejecting. Over time, it was also classifying, right? Like, is this a boy? Is this a girl? Look at this picture. Is it a cat? Is it a dog? We did all of those things. We understood how AI does that. Our point is, initially, at the start, up until very few years ago, AI was very good at catching patterns and giving answers, catching patterns and giving answers. Then all of a sudden, something happened. A new tool was introduced into the system after ChatGPT was created, and then a new tool was created. It was called DALL-E. And this tool just blew everything up. All of a sudden, AI that we used to know as a simple, analyzer, a classifier, giving us answers to our questions, like that was not the best thing that could ever happen, began to create. AI became a creator. And when we say AI became a creator, we mean like AI began creating images of people, videos of people. And you must have seen it one way or the other. You see an image, you see a video of somebody, and you be like, okay, this is definitely AI generated. Like now, you say it every time. This is AI. This image is AI generated. This is AI, right? You easily say it. And I mean, that's cool. But the question is, how exactly did we even get to the point of generative AI, right? And how do these systems actually even do these things? That's the first part. And although this is one of the most creative things that has happened in the world of AI, it is still the most controversial thing that has happened, right, in the history of artificial intelligence, because it has caused, let's just say, a lot of problems. But let's start from the very beginning, okay? What exactly do we mean by generative AI? We've talked about it, is AI producing images. Instead of just identifying them, it's now producing images, producing videos, producing music, and the likes. It's now producing content, right? So what exactly is this? And what do we mean? Like, how did AI even get to the point of being able to create images? So let us start from a very simple explanation here, where we use two pictures. Now, I don't know how many of us were interested in art. Especially, I was very interested in art when I was in school, junior school, and I really wanted to learn how to draw, right? And then I wasn't an artist by intuition, right? So I had to I used to trace stuff. And I don't know if something you did, but a lot of people used to trace stuff. So think of it like this: when maybe you'll be given a picture of a cup, and to show you how bad I am at art, right? Let's imagine that this is a very beautiful cup, and you wanted to teach someone, you wanted someone to learn how to draw this cup. I remember what you do, you literally just follow the stroke until you be able to get the cup, right? That's the idea. So you trace stuff. That's what happens. So for many years, a lot of people, this is the method they even use to learn art. So imagine someone who is giving so much art to trace. So you give them like the Mona Lisa, Picasso, Monet, Da Vinci, all of these wonderful artists. And you're like, okay, I want you to copy this painting, exactly what you see. And so you can look at this painting on this slide, and you can look at the painting on this slide, and you can easily tell that this painting, this is smoother than this. And that's what's happening is a lot of times you can imagine that person actually just copying, like he's tracing the exact thing that he sees here, step by step, right? He's tracing it. What this person is doing here is they're not creating anything new, right? This is not creation of anything new. This is just creating a copy of the original, right? That's the idea. However, they are also learning patterns, because you can easily tell that when you continue to do things like this, when you continue to trace like this over and over and over again, I mean, imagine drawing this cup 100 times. You obviously learn how to draw a cup without even looking at a cup. And then you might even be able to, make your own cup begin to have like, just extra stuff on the side, make it a bit more stylish. You could do that, right? Because you've learned the concept of curves and strokes and stuff like that. So this student, in this case, that is doing the tracing, all of in these places, is called generative AI. And this is where we go back to the concept of data, right? Now, when you remember when we were talking in an earlier episode, we actually talked about data being the soil of AI, where we said everything AI knows was based on data. And remember we said that it understands patterns. AI is always understanding the patterns between things. So how does your system know that a cup is a cup? It has understood the pattern that was drawn here. How does the system know that a face is a face? It understands the pattern with a face. How does the system know that a house is a house? It has seen so many houses. It knows that this is what a house should look like. These are the lines and the strokes and all of this that make a house, right? So the moment we allowed it to start creating something new, it is simply using the data that it has learned from so many drawings, so many pieces of art, all of those things, and it is using it to create something new. There are two ways that it actually does this, two methods to creating systems like this. The first method is the GANS method, or the GANS method. And this GANS method is what we call the generative adversarial networks. The idea here is the concept of a forger and a detective. So what AI did in the beginning is it was something called competitive training. It's not a constant name, but some people use it as competitive training. So we would have the system draw something and would have a judge on the other hand. So let's give a very clear example of this. Imagine a situation where the system draws a face, right? So let's say the system draws a face and it says it draws a human rather, and says this is a human. We'll pass it through another system that has so many images of humans. It's also trained on a lot of data. This system will tell us whether this is truly a human, pass or fail. When it says fail, what happens is this system here, let's call this system the detective and this system the forger. This detective is trying to catch all the errors, every fake in this mistake. But what is happening is every time this detective catches an error, we send it back to the forger. The forger would recreate the image, try to correct that error, send it back to the detective. They do this over and over and over and over again, right? It will create, it will send to the detective. The detective would send back, say, oh, I caught this fake, I caught this fake, I caught this fake, and so on and so forth. He kept doing that. And then this forger kept getting so good. The aim is that he wants to get so good that the detective cannot tell the difference between a real image and a fake image. Now, you see a lot of images online and you always catch like, oh, this image is AI generated or this other image is AI generated. I want to show you a few images and I want you to tell me, see if you can catch the one that is AI generated and the one that is not AI generated. So stick with me. This is going to be fun, I promise. So just look at these images and tell me which one is AI generated, which one is not AI generated. You've seen this one. I want to look at another one. Look at this one. I want you to look at another one. Look at this image. Sorry, I'm not giving you time, but just pay attention to the image itself. And now we've seen 4 images, right? Let me show you 2 more images and 1 more image. Awesome. Let me see if I can get another image of a different complexion. Oh, nice. Okay, so I've given you so many images now. How many images do you think out of the 7 images that we just saw? How many of them do you think are AI generated? How many of them do you think are not AI generated? And I'm going to give you a minute to think about that, but just to blow your mind, all of the images that you just saw are AI generated images. Every one of them. Not one of those people actually does exist. And maybe you caught a clue by the name of this website. This person does not exist, but this is a website where people can actually go online and they generate images of people that do not exist. These people don't actually exist. This was the winning part of the network. The fact that people could now come here, right, and look at those images, and you will not be able to tell if that image is real or not, because I'm pretty sure you could not tell that all those images were AI generated. If you could even tell, you could probably tell 1 or 2, but not all of them. That's because this forger now became so good that it created images that you, a human detective, cannot tell that that image is AI generated. That was the essence of this loop. That is the essence of the GANs, generative adversarial network. So the idea is here is they are adversaries of each other. This one looks at the results, tells it is fake. And this one keeps improving its answers until it generates an image that the detective cannot catch. That's the GAN. Secondly is what we call the diffusion models. And this part is actually very interesting because the way these ones are built is, I'd have to use an analogy, but let me start from the main idea here. So what happens, simply put, is that the system here, and this is how, if you know of Midjourney and if you know of DALL-E, this is how it works. It's a very slow process. It's a painful process, but it's actually wonderful. So what happens is we would give the system an actual image, probably the image of a house, right? We'll give the system the image of a house. What am I drawing? Anyway, give the system an image of a house. And what we'll do is the AI system would now create something around here that we call noise. It will create noise in the system such that you can not easily tell where, right? You cannot even tell what the original image is. It has studied the image, it has studied the original image, right? But then it will create noise around the system. And then it will try to reverse this process. Whereas it's going to try to recreate that same image from the noise. Once again, very slow and very painful, but it actually does this. And why it's doing this is that whenever you give it a description, right, it uses the knowledge of what it already has to be able to create an image from noise and just text. Because most times you are telling the AI, create a human being that you are writing text, right? So it creates that image from noise and text. And this is a very low level idea. Well, let me also give you an example to walk through this. So when I was in secondary school, I like to use my life a lot. When I was in secondary school, I imagine we had this, I don't know if you like math a lot, but imagine we had this question, x plus 2y is equal to 6 and x minus 3y is equal to 8. This is probably not the correct simultaneous equation, but follow me. And then if I did not know the answer to this question, right? I don't know the answer to this question. And somebody told me and said, x is equal to 2, y is equal to minus 1. Okay, I'm tempted to calculate, but that's not the correct answer. I'm just trying to identify something here, right? If someone told me that the answer to this question is that x is equal to 2 and y is equal to minus 1, and my aim is to, and my teacher wants me to solve, my teacher wants to see all of my solution, right? Everything I solved before I got to this answer. So I cannot just write this and tell my teacher that's the answer. They want to see my solution. What AI is doing is like saying, I want to go to the question from the answer, right? So how can I manipulate my answers to be able to give me the question? And it's actually very easy to do, but anyways, this is not a math class. But the idea here is that since you know the answer, right, you know what the original image is. The noise there is like the blank here, the solution that you do not know. You know the image, right? And now you just need to start from the top. So you have to find your way back. And that's what AI does. It finds its way back from noise. And now, whenever you see stuff like, you give text to image, image to video, text that creates music. The same thing happens in music, right? All of those things, music, all of those ideas. AI just learns what the patterns between it. Is able to create what it has learned before, rather than just predict. Yeah, it's just able to just create. So when you talk about generative AI, everything you're just saying is from the top is basically generation of images using either of these two methods, right? The GANs method or the diffusion method. And once again, you can go to this website, thispersondoesnotexist.com, and you will be shocked at the kind of images you see. And I tell you, none of the images you see on this website are actually real. These are AI generated images to show you how well the system has worked to be able to create stuff like this. So again, amazing stuff, great stuff that AI is doing. What exactly is it changing right now? I mean, you can easily tell because you look at the internet and people are creating AI videos. I have a friend who creates AI videos from absolutely nothing. He just uses a prompt and he creates really stunning AI videos, right? Even initially, a long time ago, when gaming companies used to have artists that would actually draw the characters, draw their movements. If you're a fan of anime, I don't know how many of you are anime fans, but if you're a fan of anime, you'll be shocked that the way anime is actually created is that every scene, they draw every scene. And that's actually a very painful thing because if the character was standing and then the character wanted to give someone a slap, they would have to draw every aspect of that photo from where his hand is going to the first second slide, third slide until he hits the face of the other person. So imagine all of that stress, and you can use generative AI to actually bridge that gap where the AI system now is able to build, right, those images just from prompts. You don't need to do any of things like that. Now, I think one part that is really, really amazing when we found it out was that it's not just the fact that AI can generate looks, right? It can also generate moods. And it's also one of the advantages of its training. It has seen pictures of people angry, people sad, people, crying, people, all of those things. It learns those things from its patterns. And now it can, instead of just telling you this person is angry, it can also create an angry person. On the darker side of this, and I like to always say this, that it's a dark side. It's like people are now creating fake images of other people, fake videos. I mean, imagine people who can create these images we just saw, right? Systems that can create these images we just saw can now create images that are not so realistic. Okay, so this is more of an explainer video, but I also like to always put out the dangers out there because AI is one of the craziest things that's happening right now. So AI spends decades, so many decades learning to understand the world. It is also doing so now. But one other thing that has been very conversant in the AI world, so before we go to that, now you understand what generative AI is. At least you can give a very fair explanation of the fact that generative AI is literally AI systems learning from their data and producing the exact same thing or even producing better things from their data. A very good example is, when we tell AI the price of a house is, if the house has 2 bedrooms, the price is 400. If the house has 3 bedrooms, the price is 800. What will happen if the house has 4 bedrooms? Oh, the price will be 1,000. Great. Then imagine the AI system creating the house that has 5 bedrooms and telling the price is 1, 2. Same thing, right? It learns from these images. It can create images because it has learned the patterns from the strokes, from the way things were bent, the way faces were shaped, the mood, all of those things. It learns and it creates. Now, what exactly is one major problem that artificial intelligence systems have is the fact that everybody wants their system to be smart in their field. So AI seems to know everything, but it actually doesn't know everything because one beautiful part is, for example, in the field like law or medicine, the general knowledge is not enough for AI to be able to make informed decisions. So a lot of people actually try to train their AI system, retrain it on their personal data. And that's what we'll talk about in the next episode, where we'll be discussing fine tuning. Yeah. So fine tuning is what we'll be discussing in episode 16. So stay locked in, and I really hope this series is helping you to catch a lot of information relating to what AI is beyond the noise, right? And I look forward to seeing you next episode. Bye.